Mark was 32, a restless soul trapped in the routine of his small Texas town. Each day blurred into the next, a cycle filled with the monotony of work, chores, and the fleeting moments of joy that seemed to slip through his fingers like sand. He often found himself staring out the window, daydreaming about a life that was vibrant, rich with culture, and steeped in adventure. The idea of leaving everything behind was both exhilarating and terrifying. What would it be like to start anew in a foreign land? The thought of change tugged at him, pulling him away from the confines of his old life. The moment he stumbled upon articles and videos about the Philippines, his interest was piqued. The pristine beaches, warm sun, and welcoming people painted a picture of paradise that seemed too good to be true. Here was a country bursting with life, a place where he could escape the mundane and experience the thrill of connection and discovery. The allure of a simpler life, coupled with the possibility of working remotely, grew irresistible. But what was it that truly motivated him to consider such a leap? Was it dissatisfaction with his current situation? Or was he hungry for something more substantial, a sense of purpose, perhaps? The thought of a fresh start began to overshadow the comfort of familiarity. Mark's mind raced with questions. Would he find success in this new journey? Would he finally feel alive, or would he be met with disillusionment? In a whirlwind of excitement and anxiety, he started to plan his transition. He diligently researched the culture, language, and potential job opportunities, preparing for his future life thousands of miles away. He envisioned himself sipping coconut water on a beach after a productive day of work, chatting with locals, soaking in the rich culture, and forging genuine connections. Yet, beneath this idealistic fantasy lay a nagging concern: had he romanticized this adventure too much? By the time Mark booked his one-way ticket, his heart raced with anticipation. He felt an exhilarating sense of freedom, tinged with fear. Every moment spent preparing was a reminder of what he was leaving behind, but the excitement of the unknown propelled him forward. Could a tropical paradise truly offer him the change he sought? He was about to find out. Arriving in the Philippines was an experience that marked the beginning of his new life. The vibrant chaos of the airport, filled with travelers and the scent of street food, struck him immediately. However, as he stepped outside, the overwhelming rush of sounds, scents, and sights soon gave way to a more sobering reality. Mark grappled with fear and uncertainty, feeling small and lost in the bustling energy of a city that was entirely foreign to him. The language barrier hit hard, making even simple interactions feel daunting. He hesitated when trying to order food or ask for directions, worrying that even his best attempts would be met with confusion. Financially, his expectations, which had been formed during late-night research sessions filled with hopeful optimism, began to clash with reality. The cost of living was higher than he had anticipated, and soon he found himself grappling with the daunting truth that his savings were dwindling faster than he had calculated. What about those idyllic beach days? As reality set in, he felt the crushing weight of concern pressing down on him, spiraling into moments of self-doubt. This was not the paradise he had envisioned, and loneliness quickly seeped into his new life. As days turned into weeks, he found it increasingly difficult to connect with those around him. Mark began to wonder if he had made a grave mistake. How could he ever feel at home in this place? He missed the comfort of friendly conversations and familiar faces, and he worried about his ability to adapt to such a different life. Nights were particularly tough, with silence enveloping him in a way that felt both poignant and painful. It was a far cry from the communal spirit he had hoped to find. But what if he changed his approach? Could he find a way to turn this struggle into an opportunity for growth? Each day, he felt the subtle pull of self-reflection. It dawned on him that perhaps this was not just a place of escape, but one of transformation. He began to think about the possibilities of forming new connections. Could he learn the language? Would taking a class or joining a local community help him break through the wall of isolation? Every moment of discomfort served as a catalyst for reflection. The challenges he faced ignited a determination within him that he hadn't previously recognized. There was no easy fix, but there was potential for change, and it would start with him. Would he be able to adapt? As he pondered these questions, he knew he had a choice: to succumb to uncertainty, or to lean into it and embrace the journey ahead, regardless of how tumultuous it might be. Thus, with a heavy heart yet an ever-growing spirit of curiosity and hope, Mark prepared for the next chapter of his life, bracing himself for the trials and triumphs that awaited him in this foreign land. Mark's initial thrill about his new circumstances quickly transformed into a sobering challenge. As he immersed himself in the pulsating life of the Philippines, The stark contrast between his expectations and the day-to-day reality loomed larger than ever. The vibrant colors of the landscapes that he had seen in photographs felt muted by the weight of isolation. The cheerful faces of the locals, who had once seemed welcoming from afar, now appeared distant as language barriers turned simple interactions into puzzles that frustrated him at every turn. At first, Mark thought he could rely on online translation apps to bridge the gap, but when faced with the speed of local conversation, he often found himself at a loss. His attempts to communicate in Tagalog felt clumsy and stilted, and he became acutely aware of how much he was missing. Words exchanged only served to deepen his sense of disconnection. Was perhaps learning the language the key to feeling at home? That question nagged at him frequently amidst the cacophony of markets and laughter that echoed in the streets. Financial burdens also challenged his sense of security. Mark had calculated his budget carefully based on online resources that promised low living costs, yet reality painted a different picture. The rent for his shared apartment, nestled within the urban tapestry of Manila, consumed more of his savings than he had anticipated. Local prices for goods varied wildly. While some staples were affordable, indulgences like dining out or entertainment quickly spiraled out of his budget. Frustrated, he began to rethink his daily habits in hopes of finding a way to stretch his remaining resources. He started frequenting local markets, where he discovered the captivating array of fresh produce. Although the bustling stalls overwhelmed him at first, he found a certain joy in haggling prices in broken Tagalog, grasping the rhythm of the marketplace as he navigated around vendors. Yet, despite these small victories, the shadow of loneliness loomed large. Even when surrounded by people, Mark felt isolated and outsider, observing the dynamics of a culture he barely understood. Each evening, he returned to his modest apartment, sometimes feeling like a ghost in a vibrant world alive with laughter and camaraderie. It was during these long nights, filled with self-reflection, that he began to ask himself tougher questions. What was it about this discomfort that stirred something deeper within him? Was he merely seeking validation among strangers, or was he looking to define his own identity amidst uncertainty? Lost in thought one night, he realized that confronting this loneliness was essential. From within his cocoon of fear, he considered the possibility of reaching out to others, perhaps even joining social groups or local events that could help him foster connections. Yet, a spark of apprehension held him back. What if he faced rejection? Was it worth the risk? Then, an unexpected opportunity arose. Mark met Anna during a spontaneous visit to a local cafe. She was a lively woman in her mid-20s, full of energy and kindness. The moment they struck up a conversation, he felt a glimmer of hope. Anna spoke English fluently, her laughter instantaneously melting away some of the intensity of his isolation. As they shared stories about their liveshires, rich with local traditions and his marked by a yearning for adventure, Mark discovered that her warmth was the antidote he desperately needed. Over the next few weeks, Anna became not only a friend, but a bridge to a world he could barely navigate. She introduced him to her circle of friends, each of them eager to share meals and cultural experiences. The more he spent time with them, the more he felt the parasitic grip of loneliness begin to loosen. Through these interactions, Mark started to learn about Filipino customs, local cuisines, and even more about the incredible resilience and warmth of the people he surrounded himself with. But as he discovered companionship, he also learned about local markets and entrepreneurial opportunities. It wasn't long before Anna helped him understand that there was a strong demand for English tutors in the area. The idea of teaching excited him. It blended his love for language and communication with a chance to contribute positively to his new community. With Anna's encouragement, Mark launched into this endeavor, marketing himself online and to locals. That first student, a bright-eyed child eager to learn, ignited a deep sense of purpose that he had long sought. His initial struggles began to transform into creative solutions, as his financial worries gradually morphed into a steady stream of income. With newfound confidence, he found himself stepping out of his comfort zone, ready to embrace the challenges and joys of living in the Philippines. Each conversation with his students taught him as much as he taught them. He began to see the beauty in vulnerability. In opening up to others, he was not only reinforcing his connections, but also gradually unraveling the tight grip of isolation that had held him captive. Mark's perspective was shifting rapidly. What initially seemed like insurmountable barriers were becoming stepping stones. The spirit of adventure he had always craved began to fuse with a newfound appreciation for the struggle. The Philippines, with all its vibrancy and chaos, had challenged him to rise above disappointment, transforming his discomfort into resilience. Yet, deep inside, Mark understood the journey was far from over. Could he sustain this momentum? Could he forge even deeper ties with the community? Each question beckoned him further, urging him to embrace the unpredictability of life abroad. As Mark settled into a new routine of teaching and socializing, he began to experience a profound shift in his mindset. It wasn't merely that he was adapting to life in the Philippines. He was actively shaping it. Each day brought new challenges, but he faced them with an increasing sense of purpose. The newfound connections with his students and friends infused his life with meaning, illuminating the path he once believed was obscured by doubt. One evening, while sharing a meal with Anna and her friends, Mark suddenly felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. They were gathered in a small, lively dining area, surrounded by laughter, the aroma of adobo wafting through the air, and the rhythmic beats of local music playing softly in the background. The warmth of their camaraderie enveloped him like a comforting blanket, and he realized that he was no longer the lost traveler seeking solace. Instead, he had become an integral part of this vibrant community. However, change can be disconcerting, even exhilarating when embraced it he truly belonged here. Questions about his identity and purpose loomed over him as he pondered the future. Would he ever feel entirely at home in this beautiful, chaotic land? This moment prompted him to reflect deeply on what had changed within him. Would he continue to evolve? Each interaction brought forth self-discovery. He began to understand that his previous notions of success needed to be redefined. In this new chapter of his life, it wasn't just about financial stability or professional achievements. It was about connection, growth, and resilience. As days turned into weeks, Mark found himself compelled to explore the depths of Filipino culture more profoundly. He embarked on small adventures to local festivals, bustling markets, and even volunteering at community events. Every experience empowered him to become more rooted in this society. He even attempted to learn the language beyond the essential phrases, diving into language classes that Anna encouraged him to attend. With each lesson, the pieces began to fall into place, and this endeavor felt less like an obligation and more like a journey of discovery. Then, one sunny Saturday afternoon, as Mark strolled through the vibrant streets of Manila, he encountered a street vendor selling handmade crafts and globally inspired cuisine. Intrigued, he struck up a conversation with the vendor, a kind-hearted man named Jose, who shared stories about his craft and the struggles small business owners faced in the community. Inspired by Jose's determination, Mark felt a stirring within himself. To contribute, what if he could support local artisans by creating an online platform to promote their work to a broader audience? As he mulled over the idea, the exhilarating thrill of possibility ignited a passion deep within him. The prospect of establishing a connection between local artisans and potential customers felt like a divine calling. The idea didn't come easy, but with the support of his new friends, he began sketching a business plan. He utilized his teaching experience to organize workshops for artisans and budding entrepreneurs, sharing insights into marketing strategies while learning about their crafts. In those moments, Mark found himself not just teaching, but growing alongside the community. Within a few short months, this venture blossomed into something greater than he'd expected. He launched a social media page, showcasing local crafts, artwork, and stories of the artisans behind them. The response was overwhelmingly positive, and as orders began to pour in, the feeling of doing meaningful work surged within him. This connection to the community felt deeply fulfilling, allowing Mark to weave himself into the fabric of the culture that had once seemed so foreign. His relationship with Anna also deepened during this time, shifting from friendship to something more. They spent evenings discussing dreams and aspirations, often wandering through street markets hand in hand. Each moment brought laughter and shared stories, revealing their hopes for the future. Mark felt a sense of belonging that he had long craved, a warmth that promised the possibility of lasting companionship. Yet, with growing affection came the nagging worry that his time in the Philippines could be temporary. What if he had to return to the United States? That question lingered ominously, threatening to mar the joy he had found. Mark recognized the conflicting feelings of possibility and uncertainty within him. Could he genuinely build a future here? Or would his past life inevitably call him back? He grappled with feelings of anxiety, diving even deeper into his work to quell the doubts swirling in his mind. But as he became more engaged with the community, he realized he was no longer merely a visitor. His emotional investment in this life challenged him to confront his fears head-on. Would he allow the dread of potential loss to overshadow his present happiness? Or could he choose to embrace the uncertainty and live fully, regardless of the future? These reflections pushed him to understand that real fulfillment came from acting despite fears. The journey ahead remained uncertain, but one thing was clear in his heart. The relationships he was forging and the work he was creating had become his anchor. He knew he had to face the unknown with courage and curiosity, trusting that the progression of his life would reveal its path in due time. In the weeks that followed, Mark felt a profound transformation. He began to embrace a mantra reminder to himself: life is an adventure, and I am the author of this narrative. This mindset empowered him to step confidently into the next phases of his journey, ready to face whatever came next. As he continued building connections and exploring his new reality, moments of doubt still crept in now and then. But with each challenge he faced, he felt a renewed sense of resilience. Could he truly thrive in this new life? The answer seemed to lie in the relationships he was nurturing and the experiences shaping him. As Mark gazed out at the sunset over Manila from the rooftop terrace of his apartment, he couldn't help but feel immense gratitude. This was more than just a new chapter. It was the beginning of a story rich with opportunity, connection, and the wonderful chaos of living fully in the moment. As the weeks unfolded, Mark's life began to take on a new cadence, one that harmonized with the vibrant energy of the Philippines. The fledgling community he had nurtured, filled with artisans, friends, and students, transformed his perception of what it meant to belong. He started attending local events more frequently, finding himself immersed in the culture, dancing to traditional music, and celebrating festivals that majestically showcased the richness of Filipino traditions. Each experience etched beautiful memories into his heart, crafting connections that transcended language barriers and cultural intricacies. One of the most impactful days was during the Pahias Festival, an annual celebration marked by colorful displays of rice and crops adorning homes in the province of Quezon. Anna invited Mark to join her family in their celebrations, sensing how eager he was to dive deeper into the local culture. Upon arriving, he stood mesmerized by the kaleidoscope of colors the houses adorned like whimsical folk art, with vibrant streamers and intricately crafted decorations made from the very bounty of their harvest. It represented not just abundance, but also unity, creativity, and gratitude. As Mark walked through the lively streets, he felt an overwhelming sense of joy enveloping him. The laughter of children, families uniting, and the scent of grilled meats filled the air. It was a celebration of connection, where strangers became friends, and everyone joyfully participated in the festivities. When Anna's family welcomed him with open arms, Mark felt the warmth of belonging wrap around him like a comforting embrace. But amidst the excitement of the festival, Mark also observed something deeper, a communal spirit that went beyond the surface of celebration. It was a commitment to supporting one another, sharing resources, and building a community. This realization struck a chord within him, igniting a desire to contribute more actively to this sense of togetherness. As he participated in the festival's activities helping Anna's family and other community members, Mark understood how his work with local artisans could play a role in fostering this interconnectedness. Eager to expand his reach, he proposed a collaborative event that would showcase local craft workshops while raising funds for a nearby school in need of supplies. The idea was met with enthusiasm, and soon he was organizing weekend markets where artists could share their crafts and offer classes, bridging cultural divides and building connections with tourists and locals alike. It became a symbiotic relationship. Visitors learned about Filipino traditions while the community benefited financially. As planning progressed, Mark felt invigorated. The outpouring of support from Anna and their friends was palpable. They collaborated not only on logistics, but also infused the project with heart. They painted decorations, hung colorful banners, and organized food stalls showcasing local delicacies, each detail reflecting their collective spirit. Leading up to the event, Mark poured his energy into outreach, successfully attracting attention on social media and from local bloggers. The buzz echoed the indomitable Filipino spirit, which thrived in unity and resilience. Yet, amid the excitement, there remained a whisper of self-doubt. What if the event faltered? What if no one showed up? He wrestled with these thoughts, fearing that despite their efforts, he could let down the community that had taken him in. However, a mere glimpse of the preparations unfolding around him quashed such fears. The dedication he witnessed among the artisan families and Anna's infectious enthusiasm reminded him that this endeavor was bigger than himself. It represented a shared vision and hope for the future. That realization rekindled his determination. The day of the market arrived, the sun beamed down brightly, casting a golden glow over the bustling space. The vibrant colors of crafts and fabrics seemed to dance in the light, while laughter and music intertwined, creating a tapestry of joy. Mark stood among his friends, watching the community come together. As people mingled, attending workshops and purchasing handmade items, he felt elated witnessing the results of their hard work. Yet, the most rewarding moments were not solely about sales. Observing children learning to weave and adults sharing laughter over cooking demonstrations filled Mark with an indescribable warmth. He captured moments with his camera, wanting to preserve the stunning tapestry of life this community wove together. This was not just an event, it was a powerful celebration of heritage, resilience, and connection. As twilight descended, colors shifted from vibrant hues to softer shades, casting long shadows on the ground. The day had yielded more than just financial gains. It had woven connections deeper than he could have imagined. The festival created a space for storytelling where villagers exchanged traditions, and Mark felt honored to witness the profound exchange of culture. He finally understood that he was part of something larger than he had realized. That evening, when Mark joined Anna and her family around a small fire, he felt a surge of gratitude. They sat together sharing stories and dreams, laughing under the starry sky. In that moment, the nagging doubt of being a perpetual outsider dissipated, replaced by a profound sense of belonging. But as conversations flowed, Mark's heart became heavy again. When he recalled the challenges of the life he had left behind, the family and friends he missed, the choices he had made in seeking adventure, and the uncertainty that loomed over the future. Would he ever return home? What would that even mean now? However, as these thoughts filled his mind, he quickly remembered how far he had come, how much he had learned. He realized that home wasn't limited to a single location. It was defined by the people who filled his life with love and adventure. He had stitched a new tapestry of connection in the Philippines, and while uncertainty would always persist, he had found a foundation of support and community that would buoy him through whatever the future held. With Anna's hand nestled in his, he smiled at the thought of being present and living in the moment. Tomorrow would come with its challenges, but for now, he felt at peace, adventurous and fulfilled, ready to embrace whatever tomorrow might bring. Mark had found his rhythm in the bustling, vibrant life of the Philippines, yet he was acutely aware that transformation often came with trials. Just as the excitement of the market event began to settle into cherished memories, a new challenge emerged that threatened the delicate balance he had created. The rainy season arrived earlier than expected, bringing with it tropical storms that disrupted the community in numerous ways. Initially, Mark was captivated by the beauty of the rain, marveling at the way it transformed the landscape. But soon, he witnessed the effects of severe weather, as downpours turned streets into rivers and made travel seem daunting. Although the storms also provided some much-needed relief from the humidity, the disruption they caused to local artisans and businesses was alarming. Many families struggled to sustain their livelihoods as markets were forced to close, and tourism wavered under the storm clouds. Mark could see the worry line etched into the faces of his friends and their families. Determined not to let the community fall into despair, Mark proposed an idea to Anna Watt if they could host an online showcase of local crafts. With many unable to venture outside, this could provide artisans a platform to reach customers directly from their homes. Excited by the prospect, Anna rallied her friends and family, and together they began brainstorming strategies. They crafted a campaign plan incorporating social media, encouraging everyone to share stories behind their crafts, promoting a sense of connection amid the isolation. Yet, as Mark dived into this new venture, doubts crept back in. What if no one was interested? What if they couldn't help those in need? He wrestled with the weight of responsibility for others' livelihoods. His earlier resolve began to falter under the pressure. Was he capable of sustaining this effort? As the rain continued and concerns mounted, he immersed himself in planning, poring over business ideas and marketing strategies late into the night. The lack of sunlight often cast shadows on his spirit, but he clung to the shared vision of hope with Anna and their circle of friends. They all recognized that the resilience displayed through their shared experiences could guide them through this storm. With a collaborative effort, they launched the campaign. Mark created online graphics and videos that showcased local artisans at work, linking their craft to local traditions and culture. This storytelling approach resonated with people. They began sharing the posts, and soon the initiative received an overwhelming response. Orders started rolling in, and the community felt a renewed sense of energy as they rallied together, supporting one another through mutual encouragement. However, not all stories were filled with light during this time. One evening, while visiting Anna's family home, Mark learned that Jose, the street vendor they had met during the festival, had sustained significant damage to his stall due to the flooding. The news struck Mark deeply. Jose had been a source of inspiration for him, a symbol of resilience and creativity. On an impulse, he suggested organizing a fundraising event to aid those affected by the storms, particularly small business owners struggling to regain their footing. Together with Anna and their friends, they coordinated an outdoor benefit, a community bake sale and craft fair, where every cent would go towards helping those whose livelihoods had been damaged. Mark reached out to local artisans and vendors, and the response was incredibly supportive, each individual willing to contribute what they could toward the cause. As the day of the fundraising event approached, Mark felt a mixture of anxiety and excitement. He had never organized something of this magnitude before, and the inherent risks of community gatherings during a downpour loomed heavy in his thoughts. Nevertheless, he was fueled by the spirit of connection, the very essence of what had drawn him to the Philippines in the first place. On the morning of the event, dark clouds hovered threateningly overhead, yet Mark and the team pressed on. They set up small tents and stalls, each decorated with vibrant colors that reminded him of the festival. Despite the rain, people came, some carrying umbrellas, while others braved the drizzle in good spirits, ready to support their neighbors. As he looked out among the bustling activity, Mark felt an electric energy thrumming through the air. Not only were they selling crafts and baked goods, but there were also performances, a lively dance, showcasing traditional Filipino styles and storytelling sessions, where elders recounted histories of the community's resilience through previous storms. Children laughed, adults cheered, and a sense of unity blanketed the event, amplifying each person's contribution, no matter how small. Throughout the day, as customers happily bought handmade crafts, Mark witnessed something beautiful. People were helping their community in more ways than one. It wasn't just about giving, it was about shared experiences and a deep-rooted understanding that, together, they could weather any storm, indeed finding hope amidst adversity. By the end of the event, they raised more funds than Mark could have hoped for, enough to help Jose rebuild his stand and provide aid to others in need. As the sun peeked through the departing clouds, illuminating the faces around him, Mark recognized that the day had transformed into something greater than a fundraiser. It embodied the very heart of community fortitude to support one another through challenges, celebrating resilience, unity, and togetherness. That evening, as he sat under a clear sky with Anna, watching the stars twinkle, Mark felt a wave of relief wash over him. The burdens of doubt began to lift, replaced by a realization that he had found a purpose in this life, one focused on cultivating connection, supporting others, and embracing the community as his own. With their aspirations entwined, he and Anna talked late into the night, dreaming of further initiatives. Together, they envisioned expanding their online outreach, offering workshops to teach artisans new marketing strategies, and creating a shared space for creativity and collaboration. Mark no longer shied away from the possibility of the unknown. Instead, he had learned to embrace it, trusting that no matter the storm that came, he had constructed something meaningful in the Filipinesa tapestry, woven from lives intertwined, stories shared, and a community willing to face the future together.